Hello and welcome to another episode of IOHR TV. Today I'm interviewing Mr. Marin Roman, who is the UNHCR Regional Protection Officer for Central Asia. 50,000 stateless people in Uzbekistan are set to acquire citizenship following the passing of a new law in the country. Mr. Roman, thank you for being with us today.
Likewise.
What is the provision in the citizenship law about?
The main provision, which will come into effect tomorrow, 1st of April, grants citizenship of Uzbekistan to stateless persons who arrived to the country and have been permanently residing in Uzbekistan before the cutoff date of January 1st, 1995, on the basis of a residence permit for stateless persons, and have not acquired the citizenship of a third country, of a foreign country in the meantime. This main provision in the citizenship law of Uzbekistan contains a very important point to naturalize some 50,000 stateless persons in Uzbekistan. The new law on citizenship also includes other important statelessness prevention provisions, such as prevention of childhood statelessness and prevention of statelessness in the process of change of citizenship.
How many stateless people are there in Uzbekistan?
According to government officials of Uzbekistan, as of end of December 2019, there were some 97,300 stateless persons in Uzbekistan living on the basis of permanent residence permits for stateless people.
Why are they stateless?
Statelessness in Uzbekistan and the wider Central Asia is largely a result of the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 and the formation of new independent states, which left hundreds of thousands of people stateless throughout the region. While many were able to confirm or acquire the citizenship of the successor states, including Uzbekistan, others became stranded across newly established borders with invalidated Soviet passports and no means to prove where they were born or resided.
How many people will benefit from this law?
The initial estimate of the authorities is that roughly 50,000 people, stateless people, will immediately benefit and may apply for recognition as citizens of Uzbekistan as of tomorrow, 1st of April 2020, when these provisions will come into force. The final number is expected to be higher because the new law also confers citizenship to their children under the same grounds. And a wider number of stateless persons and other groups can also benefit from the facilitated naturalization procedure, as well as other streamlined provisions in the new law.
What is the impact that this law will have on their lives? What issues have they been experiencing over the years?
In the world, stateless people usually don't have access to fundamental rights such as education, healthcare, or official employment, and usually live in destitute lives. It makes them especially vulnerable in emergency or crisis situations. For example, the current global COVID-19 pandemic and healthcare emergency. And this is why UNHCR is advocating the importance of fully eradicating statelessness in the region and an inclusion of the most vulnerable groups, including refugees, asylum seekers, and stateless persons in the national response strategies and action plans in terms of COVID-19 and other healthcare emergencies. In Uzbekistan, over the years, stateless people couldn't apply for civil service, law enforcement, and other jobs open only to citizens of Uzbekistan. And some had to accept odd jobs and face economic difficulties because on the labor market, employers usually prefer to hire citizens for permanent positions. Many of these people were also unable to travel freely and visit their relatives and families abroad because the visa regime Uzbekistan benefits with neighboring countries applies only to its citizens. Now, tens of thousands of people will have the opportunity to belong and to contribute to the development of Uzbekistan, and as full-fledged citizens. They will also have, for the first time, political rights. They will be able to vote and to be elected for electoral positions.
Why is this law passing right now specifically? Is there any particular reason?
Yes, the previous citizenship law in Uzbekistan was adopted back in 1992, so some 28 years ago, and was deemed to be outdated by the Uzbek government. It failed to meet the ongoing human rights reforms that the administration of President Mirzoyev had announced after taking office back in December 2016. Uzbekistan announced as a priority human rights dimension, and in particular its duties before its people. It views statelessness as a gap in the human rights protection and as an issue that needs to be addressed in order to fulfill the sustainable development goals of leaving no one behind and ensuring equal treatment for all people under its law. I would like also to mention that in line with the global I-Belong campaign to end statelessness by 2024 and its 10-point global action plan, UNHCR supports the government of Central Asia, including Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan, to prevent and eradicate statelessness. Since its launch in 2014, more than 76,000 stateless people acquired or confirmed the nationality of a country in the region, in Central Asia. This considerable number was possible only thanks to the cooperation among governments, civil society, and UNHCR in Central Asia. I would like also to highlight that in July 2019, Kyrgyzstan, another country in Central Asia, became the first country in the world to end all statelessness on its territory. Initially, it conducted a countrywide mapping campaign, and by July 2019, all of these cases were resolved.
What has the president been doing to tackle the issue of statelessness in Uzbekistan?
After taking office in December 2016 till present, President Mirzoyev decreed to confer citizenship to more than 11,000 persons in Uzbekistan, to 11,000 stateless persons. It's a all-time record. Previously, only a few hundreds were able to be naturalized throughout the past 2 decades. In January 2020, in his address before the newly elected parliament, President Mirzoyev announced the adoption of the new law on citizenship as a national priority. As you can see, the law was enacted in March, and certain provisions will be in force from tomorrow, 1st of April. So it's fully in compliance with the set deadline by the president. And I would like to highlight that without political will, it's virtually impossible to resolve statelessness.
What is the support that UNHCR has been giving to the government? How did you work with the government?
Yes, most recently, UNHCR reviewed and submitted its recommendations on this draft citizenship law when it was published for public discussions back in 2019, and also advocated for the incorporation of these recommendations in the new law to bring it in line with international human rights standards. We are glad that the recommendations have been largely taken into consideration. Last year, also in 2019, in April, UNHCR organized a technical level statelessness roundtable in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, with line ministries concerned, which is the Minister of Interior, Foreign Affairs, General Prosecutor's Office, National Statistics Committee, to review international standards in the area of statelessness reduction and prevention, and also the required steps to achieve the global goal of eradicating statelessness by 2024. Since the launch of this campaign, I-Belong campaign in 2014, UNHCR established its strategies for statelessness in the region and has been facilitating intergovernmental dialogues among the key government officials to address concrete problems of statelessness, both in-country and cross-border. The Uzbek government participated in these platforms and effectively contributed with information exchange, best practices, and UNHCR has been providing its expertise in the area of statelessness prevention and reduction within these platforms. The regional events sensitized the participating governments, including Uzbekistan, and encouraged a stronger cooperation among themselves and with civil society, and enhanced their capacities to find solutions to the problems. The government of Uzbekistan in particular demonstrated keen interest, undertook commendable efforts to resolve the problem of statelessness. For example, Uzbekistan amended its birth registration procedures, ensuring birth registration, including for children born to undocumented parents. So Uzbekistan was the first country in Central Asia to do that. Afterwards, others followed. Following one of the regional events on birth registration and prevention of childhood statelessness, Uzbekistan also launched and completed a nationwide campaign to identify and register all instances of unregistered births, marriages, and deaths, thus further contributing to preventing statelessness in Uzbekistan.
You contributed with recommendations and best practices at the drafting stage. What kind of recommendation did you give, and how does the cooperation work?
Yes, we have been working closely with the Uzbek government since as early as 2018. First of all, by engaging them in regional cross-border events. This was very important because for many years, Uzbekistan was virtually a locked country. And after the government changed, after the new president sworn in, it gradually began to get open to international cooperation, to regional events, cross-border initiatives. All countries in Central Asia, including Uzbekistan, acknowledged the importance of preventing childhood statelessness. It was the first topic that we engaged Uzbekistan directly. First, with an invitation to contribute and participate in a regional conference for Central Asia on prevention of childhood statelessness. And at this conference that was conducted in June 2018, Uzbekistan participated for the first time. Following this conference, we began to gradually engage with the authorities of Uzbekistan at working level with the Ministry of Interior, our main focal point on nationality matters and statelessness. And this roundtable was used to review international standards and also the remaining gaps that need to be addressed, not only in the country, but also in the region, because it's a cross-border issue. Statelessness cannot be resolved solely in one country. Usually it requires the cooperation of several countries. Following this roundtable, Uzbekistan initiated the drafting of the new citizenship law, and we provided our recommendations and international best practices in this area. And during a meeting in February 2020, so several months ago, the representative from the Ministry of Interior was very grateful for the inputs and recommendations that UNHCR submitted. They were very well received and used throughout the law.
Simplified naturalization procedures have also been introduced in this new law. What are they? What changes?
Yes, for the first time, the new law on citizenship introduces a simplified naturalization procedure. for compatriots. The compatriots are those foreign citizens or stateless persons who have at least one direct descendant relative who lives on the territory of Uzbekistan and has the citizenship of Uzbekistan. Under this simplified naturalization procedure, the so-called compatriots can apply for citizenship in a facilitated way without the requirements for continuous legal residence in Uzbekistan for at least 5 years. Also, those falling under these provisions will not have to renounce their previous citizenship in advance of submitting the file for obtaining the Uzbek citizenship. The procedure will be the following. The compatriot or the person that wants to apply for citizenship through this facilitated procedure will submit the application, and based on the decision of the Presidential Commission on Citizenship of Uzbekistan, they will be issued with a letter of guarantee on granting of citizenship of Uzbekistan, provided that the person renounces his or her current citizenship. Just to explain, Uzbekistan does not recognize dual or multiple citizenship. Why are these provisions so important in simple language? These provisions will prevent statelessness in the process of change of citizenship. Previously, people renounced their foreign citizenship, applied for Uzbek citizenship, and there was no guarantee that they would receive this citizenship of Uzbekistan. And in case of rejection, they would end up stateless.
How has the general public reacted to the provision in the citizenship law? Are people glad, or do you think that the social stigma is still present?
First of all, we need to acknowledge that the majority of stateless people who will benefit from the new provisions in the law were born in Uzbekistan or have been living in the country for years. They speak the local language and are fully integrated in the local community. They had access to the majority of rights on par with citizens, with the exception of political rights, such as to vote and be elected, or to enter a specific civil service that they wish to contribute to. They also faced limited employment opportunities, while their freedom of movement abroad was significantly hampered by visa and other requirements imposed by third countries. Many of these people for decades couldn't visit their families, relatives, or even the graveyards of their parents in the neighboring countries. It's important to stress here that limited access to basic rights for a large segment of the population impacts not only the individuals concerned, but also the society as a whole. Recognizing statelessness with stateless people as full-fledged citizens of Uzbekistan will help to avoid social tensions and to support the economic and social development of the country, and in the longer term benefit all.
Mr. Roma, thank you for your time today, and thank you for being with us for another episode of IOHR TV. From myself, Margita Kagasaki, until next time, goodbye.